Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to a new video on the equity markets and the general stock market here on Market Insights with Linux. We're going to get right into the video. I mean, there's quite a lot of stuff I want to talk about regarding some economic data coming out this week. Obviously, on Wednesday, we have the FOMC meeting, the interest rate decision, which in itself is probably not going to be that exciting, but especially the press conference is going to be very exciting, or at least very important. And we also have some earnings this week, much less than last week, but we do have PALANTIR earnings, a stock which you can see on the screen right now that has performed incredibly well, and I know there's a lot of people interested in it as well, including myself. So we'll spend some time talking about that. And then earlier today we saw Unrest, at least in the markets, but also in the world, increased quite a bit. So I wanted to talk about that, and then a general expectation of the stock markets here by looking at the S&P 500. So let's get right into it. I'll try to keep this video short and concise, just a couple of minutes, so that you have a good overview of the markets today. And what to expect. I might also keep an eye. I might also take a quick look at Amazon, Tesla, major stocks when we also talk about the S&P 500. But first of all, economic data. Today we had S&P Global Services PMI and ISM Services PMI. Very mixed data, as you can see. Some were higher than expected, some were lower than expected. In general, I don't see much of a market reaction to that, so that doesn't matter. Tomorrow we have the balance of trade. Could matter, especially with all the import tariffs. Maybe if this is much lower than expected, so much closer to zero, then it has a positive effect. It's a bit far-fetched because normally balance of trade doesn't matter, but it's a possibility, a realistic one. And then, like I said, Wednesday at 8 and 8:30 UTC. +1, we have the Federal Reserve interest rate decision and press conference. I'll still talk about that a little bit later, my expectations, what to look for during the press conference of Jerome Powell, and just in general some very minor things that he can say that do matter. And then outside of that, Thursday and Friday, we have some economic data, but more on that later. Friday, by the way, we don't have anything. But then earnings calendar, so nothing major this week. There's some earnings that are interesting. But by far the most interesting earnings call is the PALANTIR one, which is today. It's after market close, so we'll hear it a little bit later, and most of the moves will be post-market, but obviously tomorrow then will also be very volatile. So I might make a specific video on PALANTIR tomorrow. But so far, I mean, PALANTIR, based on probably some escalation again in the Russia-Ukraine war. With Russia teaming up with China, or at least having a talk in Moscow, and Putin talking a little bit more about that it's not going to be easy to end this war. It's not a political channel, of course, but that does matter. And then we also had the defense bill, or at least the increase in budget for defense, which obviously helps PALANTIR. So it has been incredibly strong this year, the entire last year, not only year to date. At the previous highs right now that we also made in February, with the earnings coming out, look, I think there's a super high chance that the earnings are going to be higher than expected, but that doesn't necessarily mean that will pump from that. I think it's not a great decision to go against PALANTIR, but getting some sort of a sell the news effect based on the data, I do think that's most likely. And then afterwards, as long as the stock market also stays relatively strong, we can see some bullish continuation. So yeah, definitely still a great stock. And then the area I'm looking at mostly for a potential entry, where we have quite a lot of liquidity, but also some technical strength, is this area right here between $94 and $100. So those are my thoughts on PALANTIR for now. In general, going to be very volatile. So unless you're very experienced in trading these earnings results, then I would stay away from it in general. But yeah, so talking about the general stock market right here, what we saw earlier today, and I think some of you also realized that, is that Unrest increased a bit. Volatility index opened higher, is retracing right now. US bonds also opened a little bit higher, but that has multiple reasons. And gold, same thing, also rallied a little bit over the course of this morning. That mostly has to do, or at least it seems like that has to do with some escalation in the Middle East again. So then we're talking about Israel, Palestine, and the Houthis in this case. At the moment, even though gold is rallying quite a bit, like I said, the volatility index is decreasing already. So even though this could turn into something ugly for the markets, it seems like the markets at this point of time don't care enough to dump. And then we have the S&P 500 right here, short term still bullish. So as long as we're holding this level right here at 555 or 5,550, if you look at the S&P 500 directly, as long as that level holds here between 550 or 548 even and 556, we're good, all right? And I don't see enough of a reason to tell you that we're going to crash. We're holding relatively well. We broke above the point of control right here at 560. So for now, I'm going to have to say that there's some more tension in the world, but that the most likely direction for US equities still remains up, all right? So into that level right here at 576, 580, 584. That would be my next price target up here. As you can see, that's a relatively strong key zone as well. But that's what I think you need to know about the markets for now. Those are some highlights. Let me know down in the comments if there's some other things you would also like to be included in these videos. For now, make sure to join the Telegram channel as well for free. I'll post some market updates in there in a moment, so keep an eye on that as well. But for now, thank you for watching. I'll see you on my next videos, and bye.